very, very freely. And of course, they declared a dividend later on and gave out over 100 billion shillings worth of dividends during their financial year of 2020, 2021, and then 2021-2022 financial results. Looking at their activity, we've already seen that the second most traded stock, because within the last 3 months, they have traded over 24.2 million shares on the stock market, with an average of 384,912 shares per trading session, and a total of 509 million Ugandan shillings has been transacted on the stock market. They have a volume high of 10.2 million shares that was achieved on the 8th of August within the same period. And so, Stanbic Bank is something you can look up to if you're looking to investing in financial institutions, a very affordable stock, and a very active company as well on the stock market. Moving away from Stanbic, we also had Wumeme. Wumeme traded about 18,000 shares, 500 yesterday. However, there was no price movement. The price remained stable at 200 shillings. And yeah, Wumeme has one of the most stable prices, but also one of the best performances in terms of year to date. Let's see, looking at their year to date performance, Wumeme has began the year with 189 shillings and has so far garnered a 5.82% onto its price at exactly 200 shillings currently, and it's ranked the third in terms of year-to-date performance. Of course, Wumeme has been performing well on the stock market, following reports at least from the Uganda Securities Exchange. From the first quarter and the second quarter, Wumeme had the highest turnover within these 2 quarters. It was still one of the most active stocks, being the third most traded on stock as well within even the last 3 months. And so, yes, a relatively very active stock. Affordability, yes, it's not so bad at 200 shillings. It's still much more affordable than many other stocks on the exchange. And the only challenge we've had, at least in the past, is very many foreigners who are interested in investing in this. Of course, this comes as an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time. When we look at the advantage in that these people who are buying stock, they're giving us activity on the market, but also adding value to the stock price of Wumeme. However, when it comes to liquidity and when it comes to these people probably changing their investment appetites to invest probably in the foreign debt markets, especially in the United States, you will find that they affect adversely the prices of the stock here on the local stocks like Wumeme Uganda Limited. And so, yes, there's need to have more local investors into Wumeme. And if you're out there, you want to buy yourself some stock, please go ahead. With just 200,000, you can afford 1,000 stock. With 20,000, you have 100 shares, and so on and so forth. Just at 200 shillings, you have 1 share in Wumeme Limited, and you will definitely not regret that decision at all. Uganda Clays, after a long time of also not trading, yesterday was able to have some activity. Uganda Clays is a Uganda public limited company, and it's dealing with the supply of clay products, especially those used in construction and housing industries. And the company's main business is production and sale of roofing tiles, walling and other building materials, and decorative clay products. It is one of the earliest listings on the Uganda Securities Exchange, and its listing dates way back in 2000, the year 2000, on the 18th of January, meaning it has been listed for over 22 years. That's a very great experience on the exchange, over 22 years of listing on the exchange for an exchange which is just 25 years old. Definitely this is something we can reckon. Now, we have over about 15.3 billion worth of market capitalization on Uganda Clays, and currently it's ranked the 15th most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, and it constitutes about 0.07% of the entire Uganda Securities equity market. Yesterday they had a total volume of about 15,200 shares that were recorded on the stock market, and they were worth about 258,400 Ugandan shillings in terms of turnover. However, they have a total of 900 million shares that are floated on the exchange, and these are currently valued at 15.3 billion Ugandan shillings. The company started the year with a price of 13 shillings and has since gained 30.8% on its price valuation, and it's ranked the first on the Uganda Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. However, you should be very careful investing in Uganda Clays. It has lost about 11% of its value within the last 4 weeks after, of course, registering this poor performance. So in terms of year-to-date, yes, very good performance, 30.8%. However, when you look at the recent past, it's not so good at Uganda Clays after losing 11% of its value. Now, Uganda Clays is also still the 5th most traded stock on the exchange within the last 3 months, after having traded about 2.88 million shares on the exchange that are valued at 51.4 million traded 51.4 million Ugandan shillings on the market. They have about an average of 45,658 shares that are traded per session on average, and their volume high was 1.14, which was achieved on the 7th of July within the same period. Yes, should you invest in Uganda Clays? Yes, but you must be patient a little bit because it's quite unpredictable where the stock price could go. We've seen they have performed well on the year to date, meaning they have improved from their price at the beginning of the year to their current price. However, in the recent few weeks, that is the last 4 weeks, they have lost about 11% of their value. So you can choose to make a decision based on that data, whether or not to invest in Uganda Clays Limited. Away from Uganda Clays, Cipla also had a volume of about 4,800 shares. And of course, you know, Cipla is trading at 70 shillings at the moment. It is the only pharmaceutical company that is listed on the exchange and has been listed since around 2018. And definitely one of the companies you can look up to for growth as an investor as well. We have other companies that we always want to mention and leave you with, much as they didn't have activity on the market. British American Tobacco trades at 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Bank of Baroda Uganda trades at 85 Ugandan shillings per share. And Centum Investment, we have already mentioned, at 303.11. Development Finance Company of Uganda, DFCU, at 547 Ugandan shillings. And then East African Breweries Limited at 4,809 Ugandan shillings. That was a loser, by the way, yesterday. Equity Bank Limited at 4,515 and 13.97 Ugandan shillings, closing price. Then Jubilee Holdings Limited traded at 7,759.71, whereas Kenya Airways also trades at 121.18 Ugandan shillings, and KCB Group or KCB Company trades at 1,322.5. MTN Uganda at 181 Ugandan shillings per share. That's the opening price today. And then National Insurance Corporation at 5.8 Ugandan shillings. Nation Media Group currently is at 571.10 New Vision Printing and Publishing Company is at 155 Ugandan shillings, and then Umeme is at 200, and Uganda Clays at 17.0 Ugandan shillings. There you have it. That's the analysis or breakdown for the Uganda Securities Exchange and how the markets operated yesterday. The markets are open right now. If you are a new investor and you would want to know how to get started, number one, start by learning about the market, get to make your own research, but one way of also learning is staying tuned on Smart24 TV and watching Financial Markets, where we give you entertainment, or in other words, actually, we give you education with experts giving you their insights into the markets here. But as well, you can make your personal research and get to learn more about the stock market. It's a beautiful place to invest, especially for the young people out there looking for long-term investments for your future, for your retirement, for your children, for your business, and so on and so forth. Now, let's cross over to the biggest stock exchange in East Africa, the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Yesterday, there was a total of over 47 companies that participated in the trading here on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And they ended up with at least 12 gainers and 25 losers, unfortunately. Kenya Power and Lighting Company led the gainers once again at 10% share price appreciation, closing the day with at 1.76 Kenyan shillings per share, whereas Umeme Limited closed at a 9.72% appreciation, and then Car and General Limited also came in as a gainer at 7.77% increase, and then Sanlam Kenya at 7.34% appreciation. On the losing side, however, we saw that Sasini Tea and Coffee came out last after having lost about 4.74% of their price valuation, and closing the day with a price of 22.10 Kenyan shillings per share. They were followed by Nation Media Group, who lost about 4.24%, and then Unga Group lost about 3.23%, and Home Africa lost 2.7% on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And looking at the volumes, Safaricom recorded the highest volume of 13.2 million shares, whereas Kenya Power and Lighting Company recorded the second highest volume of over 9.37 million shares. That's what recorded on the last trading day, on the second trading day on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And then KCB Group also came in at a 3.57 million share trading there on the exchange. Equity Group Holdings at 3.56 million shares as well. Now, regarding the NSE market indices, the benchmark index, NSE All Share Index, declined by 1.82%, of course, because of the 25 losers that we had on the market, and it declined by 1.28%. To close the day at 139.82 points here on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. This represents a 1 week loss of 0.62%, and you have a 4 week loss as well of 4.9%, and an overall year-to-date loss of 16% of their of course, the All Share Index, which is the benchmark index for Nairobi Securities Exchange. Other remarkable indices that performed well were the NSE 20, which also declined a little, slightly by 0.01%, whereas the NSE 25 declined by just 1.12%. Of course, these are indices tracking the top 20 and top 25 companies on the NSE respectively. And so, yes, you can still check out this performance for the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Remember, for you to be able to buy and sell shares on another exchange in East Africa, there are several ways of doing it, but one way you can do it is through the OTEX East Africa exchange. This is a private exchange, and it is licensed to carry out trading of securities across East Africa. We're talking about securities in Tanzania, securities here in Uganda, and today we're going to be having Mr. Joseph Chitamirike, who is from the company. He's the CEO currently, and we're going to talk a little bit more about government securities. What are the rates currently on government securities? But this company can also get you some shares or some equities and even exchange traded funds or the so-called ETFs as well on the East African continent or within the region of East Africa. How can you do this, and where can you find this? More of that is coming up. You just have to stick around and we will break it down for you. Thank you very much for remaining with us. My name is Anthony. We're going to go into a quick breather and we return with the guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.